Welcome to Pop Culture Retro, which was recently voted the 15th best podcast by the residents of Golden Years Retirement Community in Boca Raton, Florida. Each show will revisit some of your favorite pop culture memories with insider and outsider perspectives. Now, please help me welcome your hosts, Moosie Drier and Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Moosie Drier, and today we're excited to have on an actress who starred in such shows as The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Flo, and Big John Little John. She's appeared in films like Airplane and The Happiest Millionaire, and she's also the author of the fascinating memoir, My Four Hollywood Husbands. Please help us welcome Joyce Bulifant. Joyce, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me after all that.
Yes.
It's so great to have you. Let's start by going back. In your memoir, you discuss your parents' divorce and your life in foster care and an orphanage. How did those experiences lead to you wanting to be an actor?
Well, I guess wanting to pretend to be somebody else. I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. I just listened to, because I listened to a lot of books, audio books, and I just listened to Marilyn Monroe's. And the beginning of her life was a bit similar. And I thought, what is it that gave me a good path to travel, as opposed to poor Marilyn, who became so involved in drugs and all kinds of things that were not healthy. And you know what I think it is? Faith. I had tremendous faith, and I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm awful glad I had it. I loved going to church. The orphanage I was in was, I didn't know it was an orphanage till many years later, when my husband Roger and I did a book tour, and I said, let's go find that place, because it's so in my mind. It's like this huge mansion with these sweeping pine trees, and I'd love to see it again. Well, now it's a very famous school, and that building was torn down. It doesn't exist, and the school is out in the country, which I always thought it was a school. So when I went in to talk to them, I said, the St. Paul's Girls' School. They said, no, that was an orphanage. And I said, what?
Oh, wow.
I didn't realize it was an orphanage, but it was set up like an orphanage in this old Gothic mansion. And I remember walking in, and there were 3 little beds facing 3 other little beds. And I remember I was frightened, and I remember that it was not a great experience, except maybe that's where I got faith. It was an Episcopal orphanage started by Episcopal women. I had to go to church, I remember, and I'd fall asleep. Some lady would keep poking me. So I'm not sure that's where I got it. I don't know where I got it, but I always just had tremendous faith. And there was one year I lived with my mother, and I would go to school. She worked. And on the way home from school in 3rd grade, I'd stop by different churches and just sit there. And I sound like a fanatic or something.
No, not at all.
I wasn't that fanatic, because I would get up Sunday mornings and go to Sunday school all on my own. And I remember my mother would give me a nickel for the offering and a nickel for a donut afterwards. And one day going to church, I dropped a nickel and it went down the drain. And I remember looking up to the heavens and saying, I'm sorry, God, that was your nickel.
Wow. So you had schooling in the orphanage that you didn't know was an orphanage, right? And that's probably why you look back and thought it was a school.
Well, I actually went to school. I walked to school on my own.
Oh.
Isn't that funny? We walked to school, and it was kind of wonderful, because I remember that, well, first of all, I love music, and we would sing all of the Army, Air, and the Air Force, all the songs. And then we do pledge allegiance to the flag. It was such a great way to start the day. It was so uplifting and patriotic, and you felt so good about your country. And
Yes.
it
Love that.
was,
Love that.
Well,
I worry so about children that don't have some sort of higher power they can believe in. If it's the
I agree with
mountain,
you on that.
of
I think,
flowers,
yeah,
anything,
Yes.
you know?
I
Amen to
think it's
that.
important for right and wrong for kids
Yeah,
to, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's you started your career, I mean, acting like so young. I mean, I read you started in 14 years old in the summer stock. So what made you go in so early? And did you get any lessons for life going into
Well,
theater?
yeah, I was dyslexic. I'm still dyslexic. Once you're dyslexic, you're always dyslexic.
Right.
You just learn to cope. But
Hmm.
my coping and how I learned to read was doing theater. Because when I was 12, I really could not read at all. I was terrible. But I wanted to be in a play at school, at Silbury School. And I asked the teacher, would she help me learn these words?
Wow.
And it meant something to me. I always say, I said, always teach children theater because, especially dyslexic children, that the words on a page, they're not just black letters on a
Mm.
page, they have meaning. You know, hello means either hello, I'm happy to see you, or hello, I'm not happy. You know, and it really helps with reading. And you kinesthetically, you're moving, you're going to a door, you're opening a door. It's just all the multi-sensory things that a dyslexic needs to learn to read. So
Hmm.
that and oh, I don't think that was a question. I'm getting off on my
No,
dyslexia.
it's okay. That's fascinating.
But I was in a play at school
Hmm.
at 14, and this producer saw me. I didn't have many lines, but what a presence I must have had. Anyway, he asked my mother if I could go and be an apprentice at his theater, the New Angola Theater in Pennsylvania, the Grove Theater in New Angola, Pennsylvania. And he offered that I could stay at his house, and his mother lived there, and I would be fine. And she said, sure. So off I went and had 3 years in summer stock learning everything: lights, plumbing, how to set
Wow.
the stage, doing the light board, which scared me to death because it was one of those old light boards that had wooden handles, and you'd sort of do like this to make the lights come on, and then you dim the lights and sparks would fly out of it. And I was terrified the week that I was on lighting. But the best training in the whole world.
I
Yeah.
want to ask, this came later. I mean, your theater, because your theater, the people that you've worked with, also just amazing too. You worked with Gypsy Rose Lee. So can you talk about that a little? Can you talk about her a little
Oh
bit?
boy, can I talk about that?
Yeah.
I remember one night in rehearsal, it was in Florida, the Coconut Grove Theater. And she had sort of this wraparound dress on, and I was sitting in the audience waiting for my cue. And all of a sudden, I saw this big old bomber moth coming along. Ba-boom, ba-boom. It was headed right for her. And all of a sudden, it went down her back, and she ripped open the dress, and she had nothing on. And I thought, wow. And then I was getting a lot of laughs, and she wasn't liking that.
Oh,
Mm.
really?
And so she tried to upstage me in one scene where we're sitting on a chaise, and she kept going back further and further, so I had to completely turn around with my back to the audience. So I said, the heck with her, and I played the whole thing out front
Oh, awesome.
and got lots more laughs. And the next day, when I had to do the come on stage, I would shake hands with her. I played Gloria Upson, very upscale, top drawer kind of person. And I said, how do you do? And she took my hand, and she just almost threw me across the stage
Oh
when
my
she shook
gosh.
hands.
Wow.
Wow.
She wasn't my favorite person.
No, doesn't sound
I
like
mean,
she was super
she
supportive.
wasn't mean. She was just physical.
Right,
Yeah,
wow.
and it sounds like she was just this is my show. You're gonna
Right.
I'm gonna get the laughs. I'm
That's
gonna get them
right.
looking at
Oh,
me.
yes. I once did a play with Diana Barrymore. I have to remember this. Um, Unfortunately, one day she was late to rehearsal, and I was imitating her when she walked in.
Oh,
This was not good at all. Her agent was named Viola Rubber, a rather large, impressive woman.
Uh-huh.
And she came back after the first intermission and she said, Miss Bulifant, you are overplaying Miss Barrymore. Stop it. Again, I was getting laughs. What can I do?
you were doing something right.
Right.
What was your big break into show business?
Well, I probably, after the American Academy of Dramatic Arts,
Ooh.
I had a teacher there who suggested I go read for a Broadway play, which was called Tall Story. And I thought, wow, he thinks I could do that, do a Broadway play. And I I got a small part and I understudied the lead. But the lead had been in a soap opera and she was known. But they said to me, Lindsay and Krause, it was her last play. And they said, we really wanted you to do it, but you're nobody, right? But it was a great experience to have that Broadway credit.
Mhm.
So that was the first thing I did.
About some of the people that you worked with early in your career, because like I said, it's a who's who. Let's start with Thriller with Boris Karloff. What was that? What was he like?
I didn't work with him. He was just the host.
And now, permit me to introduce our players. They are Richard Long.
Richard Long asked me to go away for a weekend in Santa Barbara, and I was appalled. I was absolutely appalled. I was a young married person with a baby, and I couldn't believe somebody. But that was my first introduction to the Hollywood life.
Wow.
And there were all kinds of that was a crazy show. I had my favorite line in the whole world. They're trying to kill me, and I say, "You're nothing but an attractive family of murderers."
You're just an attractive family of murderers.
I don't mind an attractive family of murderers.
You danced with Fred Astaire. Is this true?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I mean, who hasn't really?
Who hasn't?
What was that show?
Mr. Lucifer was the name of it. He played the devil. And my husband and I, Frank Aletta, we had the perfect marriage. And he and his secretary, who happened to be Elizabeth Montgomery, they wanted to break up the perfect family. So he was offering me all kinds of things, and she was offering my husband all kinds of things. And he was, without a doubt, the most delightful, humble person I ever met. But when I got the call to do the show, I was working on Perry Mason, and my agent called and said, "How'd you like to do a show with Fred Astaire?" And I said, "Ron, I got to get back to the set. Why are you calling?" He said, "I'm calling to ask if you do a show with Fred Astaire." I said, "Come on, Ron, I can't. They're going to call me back on the set any second." He said, "You don't want to do a show with Fred Astaire?" I said, "Ron, are you really being serious?" Because I saw every film at the Lux theaters in New York City growing up that I was speechless. I said, "Of course I want to do it." And he said, "And you get to dance with him." And I said, "What?" So I envisioned, of course, a lovely pink chiffon gown in a ballroom with crystal chandeliers, and we'd be waltzing and he'd lift me in the air, and I'd dance backwards in my heels like Ginger Rogers. I was so excited I couldn't believe it. You know what the dance was? The twist. And right before the scene, he said, "Miss Bulifant." He kept calling me Miss Bulifant all the time. And I'd say, oh, Mr. Astaire, please call me Joyce. I couldn't call him Fred.
Right.
There's no way. And he said, I need your help. I said, what's the matter? He said, I don't know how to do the twist. You have to quick come over here and show me. So we went behind a flat and I taught Fred Astaire.
Wow.
I was just going to say, you taught Fred Astaire
Can
a
you
dance.
believe it?
That's
Yes.
pretty outstanding. I'm so happy that he was a sweet man. You
Oh,
don't
let
want
me tell you how sweet. I was at a fundraiser for a charity and I was dancing with someone and he came over and cut in. And when he cut in, he looked at me and he said, Miss Bulifant, I don't know if you remember me. My name is Fred Astaire.
Wow.
I mean,
That's,
that's how humble and sweet a man he was.
I love that. I love that.
The name seems familiar.
Yeah. And whoever the man was who was dancing with you, could he be offended in any way that Fred Astaire was going to come in? Nope.
I don't think so.
No.
I was talking about, you appeared in a musical that I love, The Happiest Millionaire for
Oh,
Disney.
yes.
Okay, you primarily worked with Leslie Ann Warren and John Davidson. So can you talk about that? And you met Walt as well, right?
Oh, yes. I had met him before because I was married to James MacArthur. And
Okay.
Jimmy did a lot of Walt Disney films. So I had met him on location and a very nice man. And while I was doing the movie, I had just had a baby, my second baby, and I was 28 and Leslie Ann Warren was 18, 17 or 18. And she's changed a lot since that movie. She was a little difficult at that time, but she's changed a lot and is a very sweet lady. Grew up to be very sweet, but that was difficult. And she was a professional dancer. I mean, I danced, but I wasn't a trained dancer like she was. But the day that I was going to go and record Bayum Pum Pum, the song that I sing, I was really nervous. It was going to be with a full orchestra, and oh my Lord, I was excited and nervous. And Walt came down from his office. He saw me walking towards the recording studio, and he came down and he put his arm around me and he said, I have big plans for you, little lady. Then he dropped dead. It wasn't very nice.
Oh.
You know,
Wow.
but he also sent me flowers. He before I was due to go to work, I went to the studio every day and worked out with the dancers to get in shape. And he said, I know you've been sneaking on his letter he wrote, I know you've been sneaking on the stage and working the last 2 weeks, but here are flowers to welcome you your first official day.
Bayum Pum Pum.
Bayum Pum Pum.
Bayum Pum Pum. Bayum Pum Pum. Bayum Pum Pum. Bayum. You must be oh so mysterioso. Enthusiasm is trépassé. You must slink across the floor as if it's a dreadful bore. To the rhythm of bayum pum pum, bayum pum pum. So bayum until the dawn, as if you're about to yawn. To the rhythm of bayum pum pum. Cordy, you're absolutely dangerous and scandalous.
Did you have much interaction with Fred McMurray and Greer Garson?
Oh, I worked with Fred McMurray.
In My Three Sons.
Yeah, and My Three Sons. Good for you. My goodness. As a matter, I was watching My Three Sons one night, and it was late at night, and I looked and I said, so funny, I'm having deja vu, as if I've been in that room before. And all of a sudden I walked in. But I'd done it so many years before.
And Tommy Steele, who was great.
Oh my God.
Did you know much about him going into that?
Oh, well, I just adored Tommy Steele. He taught us how to do seances.
Okay.
Wow.
It was good. He was good.
Yeah.
Um, I think he was one of the one of the biggest talents ever. I think the only thing is maybe for the screen, he was maybe a little bit larger than life, and his brilliance on stage was great. But I still adored him on screen. He just gave it his all. He was fun. He was talented. I just adored him. He's now Lord Thomas Steele.
Yes.
Ooh.
So,
Excuse me.
Yeah.
right.
La-di-da.
Yes, he doesn't know because I just found out recently that when Walt Disney said, I have big plans for you, little lady, it was to do a series with Tommy and
Oh,
he'd be my
wow.
boyfriend. Wouldn't that have been
Oh,
fun?
fantastic.
Yeah. You were a regular, Joyce, on the Bill Cosby show, which was his first show. It wasn't the one that went
No,
on forever.
no, it wasn't. It was where he played a basketball coach and I
Okay.
played the school guidance counselor. And he couldn't have been more of a gentleman to me. I'm just so sad to find out
Mhm.
there's a dark side there.
Right.
But he did invite me to his dressing room one day for lunch because he had his cook come and make lunch every day. And guess who was there? Sammy Davis Jr.
Oh, wow.
and I'll get the name in a minute. I'm looking at his face. Um, he's the wonderful composer who did The Color Purple.
Oh, but is it Quincy Jones?
Quincy Jones. You
Quincy
just looked
Jones.
it up, didn't you? You looked it up. I saw
I
you.
did. I looked at. I'm a kid. Otherwise, it'll be like I'll be at a red light in about 3 days, and I'll go Quincy Jones. That's
I know,
yeah.
I know. Quincy and Sammy and Bill
Oh, wow.
and me. And Bill said, yeah, you're the white token, the token white.
You were originally cast as Carol Brady in the Brady Bunch. So talk about that. How close were you to filming? And had you already met the rest of the cast and read with the rest of the
Well,
cast?
the little girls were cast to look like me. And
Mm.
Robert Reed, of course, I did a screen test with him for him. I was already cast. And I did several screen
You were
tests.
cast before Robert Reed.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then for 2 weeks, a limousine would pull up in front of my house and take me shopping with a wardrobe lady uh, to get all the different clothes. So I was all wardrobed. I signed a 7-year contract, and I was sent to this lady named Louise Long, where actors went before they were going to do a show, a movie, or whatever, to lose weight, and they wanted me to lose 5 pounds. And so she beat you up. I mean, literally, she pounds you so you're black and blue. And
Wow.
then they put these kind of electric little things on your body that make you do like this. And then you only have scrambled eggs and tomatoes for a week. Well, I sure lost the weight, knew my lines. I was ready to go. And Friday, before we were going to shoot, I came out to show Sherwood Schwartz, and I can't remember the director's name for the first program. And I come out and I say, well, this is what she wears in the garden wedding. And I turn around and they go, mm-hmm. And then I go back and I say, this is the going away suit that she wears. And I turn around, they said, mm-hmm. And the third time I came out, this is weird. They never say, mm-hmm. They say, what about different shoes? What about a scarf? I don't like the color. You know, they never just go, mm-hmm. So I came out and I said, is something wrong? And they said, sit down. And I said,
Oh, wow.
what is it? And they said, well, Marty Starger, who was the head of ABC in New York, Florence Henderson had just become available, and we think that she would be better. She's older, more believable as the mother. And Sherwood said, we wrote this with you in mind. We wanted it to be funny. We wanted to be like the Lucy show. And if Florence does it, it'll be the Donna Reed show. And that's not what we want. And they had to recast the housekeeper because she was straight and I was the funny person.
Mhm.
And Sherwood was so sweet. He said, "We'll know this evening, but we are fighting for you. We really want you." And I was kind of numb. And
Sure.
he came, instead of calling, he came to the house that evening to tell me. And he was practically in tears. I mean, he had to rewrite the whole concept. And he said, "However, the next show I do, you will definitely be in," which was Big John, Little John.
Oh, we're going to ask
Yeah.
about that too. But going back to Brady, I mean, natural, could you even watch the show after that? Could you even like stand to turn it on?
It was a little hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Florence was great and it was a huge success. It was different than what they had in mind, but they had a big success. They gave me the going away suit. It was very appropriate.
And you beat yourself up and you ate tomatoes and scrambled eggs. Wow, that's crazy. Have you had any interactions with Florence Henderson after that? Was
Yes, I did. We both belonged to an organization that helped abused children. We did a scene together. And I always was happy to see her and that it was successful because I went on to do other things, including having my real Brady Bunch, my own 8 children, a mixed marriage.
right?
So, you know, I got to live it in real life and go on to do other shows.
Sure.
I was so lucky to be working all the time.
Hmm.
Really,
Well,
really lucky.
well, you did one of the arguably the best shows ever on television was the Mary Tyler Moore Show.
Oh, yes.
I mean, wow. And you came on after it was established, I believe. Um,
I think
but
so.
what an amazing family MTM had over there at CBS Radford. And were you a fan of the show going into it?
You know what? I was working so hard at the time. I was doing the Bill Cosby show, and I was doing another show that I was the lead in, which was called Love Thy Neighbor. And I was also doing voices for a cartoon. And so I couldn't always be there to be
Yeah.
Marie Schlatter. So I think they had to get Georgette to have a wife in there, because
Mhm.
I really couldn't be there all the time. I mean, one time they called me and said, "We need you to come in for a table read." I said, "I'm in labor. I'm having a baby."
That's a sad story that you had 12 shows or something at once and you couldn't really. Great.
How did your role on Mary Tyler Moore come about? I mean, they approached you for that?
Oh, uh, what happened is from the Bill Cosby show,
Mhm.
um, Ed Weinberger had written a script called The Longest Hook Shot, I think. And I accused Bill of being prejudiced because he won't let this little short guy try out. And I did a scene in that people talk about all the time. It's so funny. I go into the gym where they're having basketball practice, and I take off my shoes when I walk on the gym floor because when I was in school, you weren't allowed to walk on the gym floor with high heels. Or, you took your shoes off,
Scuff them up.
and I just automatically did that before I walked in there. But Ed Weinberger saw that show and he thought I'd be good for Marie.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So can you just talk about the cast? What was that cast like in working on that show with them?
They all became who they played. It was just
Really?
weird, especially Ted Knight. I mean, he became Ted Baxter. I remember one time having been off for a while, he came back and he said, "Joyce, they redid my dressing room. Would you like to look at it? Looks very nice."
I want to move on to Airplane because it's still on the list of best comedic films of all time.
Uh,
You had such a memorable part, and it wound up being ironic, of course, that you worked with Joe Whalen, who then played Gavin McLeod's daughter on Love Boat. So, what was the atmosphere like on that set for that comedy? Just what was the atmosphere like shooting?
It was awesome. I mean, because I think we were all thinking, is this funny? At least I was. It wasn't, I didn't want to do it. I thought it was just plain stupid. and silly. I said to my husband, Bill Asher, I said, hey, people are coming down the baggage claim. It makes no sense. I don't want to do it. And he said, you're an actress, act. So I did. And even what's his name, Howard Koch's wife, Ruth, Howard being one of the producers, she and I would talk and say, this is a shame. It's going to be a big flop. I mean, what a shame. It's so sad for everybody and the money involved, everything. And we went to the first screening at Paramount, and we're sitting next to each other, Ruth Koch and I, and we're going, oh gosh, here goes. Oh dear. And within 2 seconds, people were falling on the floor, falling out of their chairs, laughing. And we were too.
It was so ridiculous. It actually worked.
Well, you know why, which I think is so important, and I know you do in comedy, is you don't go for the laugh, you go for the truth. You play the silly craziness with as much truth as you can and a funny bone.
Yeah. You play it straight. You don't play comedy like, Jerry Lewis all the time. You have to play it straight. And also those guys actually were testing a lot of that stuff out. I remember going to, they had a theater, the Zuckers, a Kentucky Fried Theater.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they were a lot of that stuff was being thrown up on stage first. So they had the confidence the rest of you guys perhaps didn't have,
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Did they tell you to be over the top, or did they tell you just be serious?
I don't know. I don't remember that. What was unusual for me is they weren't watching on the set what was going on. They were watching monitors. And this is the first time I'd ever seen directors look at a monitor, because my feeling was they're going to miss funny things that are happening that they're not seeing on the monitor. But obviously they got it all.
Hi. Do you mind if I talk to your daughter? Well, I think that'd be nice. Oh, you have a guitar. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe you'd like to hear a song. I'd love to.
To find where it flows to the sea. And I wanted to know if life had a purpose. There is only one river, there is only one sea, and it flows through you, and it flows through me.
So you're on a lot of the big game shows, like namely Match Game. It was so much fun to watch, but I think I read instances where, there was harassment. Do you have negativities about looking back on that show at all, or?
Let me get rid of this column.
That's Brett Summers.
Okay.
Was it a pleasant experience?
Sometimes it was. It was hard for me only because I had all those children and I was working shows, and it was on weekends, and you do 5 shows in a row. And being dyslexic, I couldn't spell. And you had to write things down, and then show. And it was so embarrassing for me not to be able to spell the words. And they were making fun of me anyway, voice, hair, I don't know, all that. And so inside it was difficult. Outside, I just, like a lot of dyslexics do, we joke and make fun. And so I try to think of something close to what the answer should be, but something I could spell. One time, there was no way to get around what the word was. I had to write it down. And I thought, I sat there the whole time thinking, okay, I'm going to just show it real quick and put it back, and Jean won't see it. So it got to me. I was in a hog sweat, I'll tell you, as he walked toward me, and I went, right back. And he walked away and he said, well, the dummy got it right, or something like that. And then he stopped in his tracks and he turned around and he came back and he said, let me see that again. And I just reached in and I showed it to him. He said, would you look at this, everybody? Oh, well, people laugh. They love that show. And at one time, I had a manager and I was doing Vanities the play in Detroit. And it was a blizzard, I remember. And my agent called manager and he said, Joyce, I don't think you should do these game shows anymore. You are an actress and you're getting known as a celebrity, not an actress.
Right.
And I thought, oh, thank God I don't have to do them anymore. And then I walked out in this snowstorm and this lady bumped into me, or I bumped into her, and I said, excuse me. And she said, what is it you do for me? I said, I beg your pardon? She said, do you work at my market? I said, no, I'm sorry. No. Do you go to my hairdresser? I said, no. The cleaners? You go to the cleaners? And I don't say, maybe you see me on television, because people will often say, I don't watch television, and walk away. So I didn't say anything. I said, sorry. And I kept walking to the theater. All of a sudden, she ran up behind me, turned me around, gave me the biggest bear hug. And she said, I know what it is you do for me. You make me laugh.
Oh, wow.
That's sweet.
I thought, I'm never going to give up doing that. If that can make somebody that happy. A lot of people, there's one elderly couple that used to pretend I was their granddaughter. I mean, people who, that's so sweet.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I made her laugh.
That's great. That's a
What
great
could
feeling.
you do?
You've done that for so many people, Joyce.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's
that
Well,
makes me feel very good. I mean,
that's great.
that the important things in my life are my children and the fact I started a center for abused children in Colorado, and that I can make people laugh.
yeah.
That makes me very happy.
I love that.
And I've lived to be 88.
And you look fantastic.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic. Yes.
Wow.
That's,
Wow.
I
well,
am
I
very
did.
lucky.
I did have, just because I was such a big Match Game fan. I just had we had one or two more questions. If you know, I'm just curious also, because it always appeared that there was like resentment to Richard Dawson, because did you see that or sense that at all?
Was he what?
That there was resentment by some of the others to Richard Dawson because he kept getting all the questions and everything.
I don't know. I just think he was not an easy person.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also seem to
You
remember.
have to read the book.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't want to give everything away.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You wouldn't be the first to say that about old Dickie Dawson. I never knew if it was shtick or not, but I feel like Brett Summers was funny at times, also, but other times just mean. Like, and I feel like I remember her possibly being mean to you, like on Match Game. Was that?
Absolutely adored her.
Oh, good.
Did you?
Good.
Okay.
I was just on camera. No, really a sweetheart. And a time
Okay.
that I was going through some unhappy period with Bill. She was so supportive.
That's
But
great.
when I moved to the Valley, she said, darling, I cannot come see you in the dreaded Valley. Just because the dreaded Valley.
Married to Jack Klugman probably at that time, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Loved him.
I did a Virginian with Jack Klugman. He wasn't very happy with me. I was playing his wife, and I had we were serving dinner in the scene, and I'm passing things, and I would pass him this plate of mashed potatoes, and in the scene, when we'd shoot it, he'd get slowly sink down in his chair lower and lower. And I thought, what is he doing? And they'd say, cut, and then, you had to match the potatoes and where you put it and everything. So I always put it right there. And he said, Joyce, for crying out loud, you're putting those damn potatoes right over my lines I had written down. They were all New York actors on horseback, driving off as a posse, and their legs were like
Yeah. You can always tell an actor who's never been on a horse before.
I love doing Westerns because my horse always could hit the mark. I couldn't, but the horse could.
But is the horse looking down at the mark before, that was a big thing. So let's talk about, you did Big John, Little John with Herb Edelman and Robbie Rist, of course, and Mike Darnell. And so Herb Edelman was a sweet, sweet man.
Oh yeah.
I did one episode with you guys. You and I didn't have any scenes together, but this is the show, going back to the Brady Bunch thing. This is the show that Sherwood Schwartz said, okay, well, let's put you over here. How was the experience for you with that?
Well, it was, it was a Saturday morning show.
Mhm.
So it wasn't like a great big deal until I went to London and I checked in my hotel room and turned on the TV and there was Big John, Little John. It's
Yeah.
amazing, of all things. And it was a time that kind of a fun time. It was
Okay.
fun to do that show.
How about Flo with Polly Holiday?
Next question, please.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes, we'll move
Yeah.
on.
Hey.
Well, I'll tell you, Polly was an extraordinary actress. I mean, really, really good. I think it's very dangerous when you give actors creative control.
Okay.
Hmm.
We will move on.
Yeah, we'll move on. And correct me. So real quick, and we will move on. Was Flo the spinoff of Alice, or is this a different?
Yes.
Yeah.
it
Okay.
was.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on to your memoir. So My Four Hollywood Husbands, which offers an intimate look at your marriages, your life in Hollywood. What inspired you to write the book?
Well, I'll tell you.
All right, let's hear it.
When Bill Asher and I were separated, and I had no desire to divorce Bill, I loved him very much. But I was an enabler, and the book is a lot about enabling and alcoholism.
Mhm.
And I moved to Colorado just so I wouldn't be an enabler. I needed that distance. And my two children, Charlie and Mary, were living in Colorado. And I thought, what the heck am I going to do in Colorado that could be the least bit creative? And so many people had said, you should write about your life. It's interesting. So I thought, well, I'll take a stab at that. And I would get up every morning and go downstairs in my little log cabin thing, and I'd make a tea kettle. I make fresh tea and take it upstairs in my flannel nightgown and put a sweater on, and I would start writing longhand on a legal pad. And then, being dyslexic, I had so many arrows. I would put the subject at the end of the sentence, and grammatically and couldn't spell things, and so I would talk it then into a tape, and then I'd take the tape and have it, they would transcribe it, and then I'd get the transcription back, and then I'd rewrite that, and it was quite a long procedure. It took 24 years to write the book, and it was called Home Sweet Home, Where Is It? Because I had lived in so many different places in my life, and I remember details about homes and everything. So I thought that it'll be about the different homes and some experiences in those homes. And I was just about finished with it when a friend of mine called me and said, Joyce, I have the title for your book. And I said, what? He said, My Four Hollywood Husbands. And I said, Bruce, that is the tackiest, most disgusting. I would never title my book that. That's just awful. And I hung up and I thought a minute and said, might sell books.
Yeah.
So then I thought, I've got to tell a different story. And if I'm going to write about my husbands, then I want to write something that hopefully will be helpful to other people and their relationships. So it's about alcoholism, codependency, and the effect it has on children and the family. And woven within that are stories about the golden age of Hollywood and my love story with Roger Perry.
Love it. What I liked about the Home Sweet Home title is that, as a fellow dyslexic, if you say it backwards, Home Sweet Home, it's still right. Yeah.
You talk about so many, intimate things. Was it like therapeutic also?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm very confused about myself because I I'm generally a really happy person. I love people. And I can just kind of go on with things happen for a reason attitude. And every soul has its own journey. Um, so it may have been to ask my children.
Right.
Well, Joyce, before one thing in the book before we let you go, which I have to ask about,
Yes.
you were daughter-in-law to Helen Hayes. So,
Yes.
so could you how intimidating was that?
It really wasn't, because I didn't know when I first met her that she was anybody so terribly important. I heard she was an actress, and it impressed me that she was an actress. But when I first met her, I thought, she'd come to school. She came to visit Jimmy, and Jim and I were both in boarding school together. And she showed up, and I thought, she'd be in a mink coat and dark glasses and glamorous hair, and she was an actress. No, she looked like any mother that ever came to school, kind of dowdy, actually, and very down to earth. And Mrs. MacArthur is what everyone called her. And then we became so close. She was mom to me. I wasn't allowed to call my mother mom, but I could call Helen mom. And I even do a show called Remembering Helen Hayes with Love. And it's about our very up and down relationship. It really was very, very close and very tender and very sad at times.
Yeah. When you said you're happy, Joyce, it comes off like I see it in you. You are a happy person. And considering your upbringing and some challenges that you've had to get over, I mean, what a great story, and good for you. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, we come in with this stuff, the universe, God, Buddha, whomever, all the forces, the good forces, that some of us are luckier than others.
Yeah.
Our path is easier, or it's hard, but you are able to overcome it. Other people aren't able to overcome things. And
Yeah.
I always ask prayers for those people, because there's so much goodness around, even with all the dark period we're in right now. I keep looking for the goodness, the kindness, praying for people to understand and listen to each other, and be able to talk sensibly and learn from each other. I think it's important to have an open heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes that's hard. It's challenging sometimes, you really need to check yourself.
But I say where I go to the spiritual center, and they sing a song, we are all one family living on one planet.
Yeah. Let's not be so divided. Yeah. Well, Joyce, this was amazing. And on top of, you sharing your life, we now know where Fred Astaire learned to dance. So,
yes, I'm so happy to be able to help him out.
Yeah. No.
Joyce, again, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure getting to talk with you.
Thank you, and thank you both for putting up with my terrible lack of technical knowledge.
It's not a thing at all.
We did it.
We did it.
Yes,
Here we are.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
This has been Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen with Moosie Drier. And again, a very special thanks to Joyce Bulifant. And please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Culture Retro, where no one was hurt during the making of this podcast. Listening to this podcast just makes you really cool.